Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to be talking about strawberries. We're going to be making a delightful, easy breakfast bake with strawberries. You're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to tell you how to get that garden ready for those tomatoes. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're going to be talking about strawberries, and it's one of my favorite fruits this time of year. And you know, I always tell you to buy in season. Well, this is the time to be buying strawberries. And why do you want to buy them? Because they are loaded with vitamin C. Did you know that there are more in the vitamin C in a strawberry than an orange? So that tells me if you're struggling with a cold or anything like this time of season, put those strawberries on your list because they will be a great vitamin C for you. They are wonderful because they also give you a good fiber. And they're going to be no fat in them. And they're also going to be no sodium and no cholesterol free as far as that goes. So keep that in mind. Now, when you're selecting those strawberries, you want to make sure that if you're picking your own or if you're at the grocery store, when you pick your own, you're going to really pay attention to what you're picking, hopefully, and you're going to pick the best ones out there because you're paying good money for them. And you're going to be looking for shiny strawberries. You want the green head of the part of it, of the stem. You want it to look really nice and green. If it's starting to turn brown, that tells you the strawberries are probably going to go bad on you faster than you want them to. So shiny, firm is what you're looking for, good green. And look at the seeds too. And if you're buying them at the grocery store, pick up that container that they're in, look at all the sides of it, flip it upside down, look underneath and check to make sure you don't see any mushiness, any mold, any leakage from any of the fruit, because that tells you that fruit is going to go bad pretty quick. Now, as far as storage goes, you can keep strawberries in your refrigerator about 3 days at the max. But if you buy them at the grocery store or you pick your own, usually if you pick your own, you've got a bucket full of strawberries. And strawberries can bruise very, very easily. So the best thing you can do, even when you buy them at the grocery store in the containers, is to find some way in your refrigerator to lay them out in single layers. And if you want to put a paper towel on top, you can. But this is going to prolong them to keep them fresh and tasty when you get ready to eat one. Now, I will tell you this, they freeze wonderfully. So if you are thinking about, well, first day, not for sure, you just want to eat some, that's great. Like I said, that good vitamin C. But if you're going to keep them a little bit longer, you need to decide if you're going to bake with them or if you're going to make something with them. If not, freeze them, because you can bring them back out later and make a smoothie, bake with them, eat them once they thaw out as far as when they're frozen. All those will be wonderful. Now, as far as calories goes, about 8 medium strawberries is going to give you about 55 calories, so you can tell yourself this is a very good fruit and it's also low in calories. So keep that in mind when you're looking for this wonderful fruit this time of year, especially when it's in the season, because the cost is going to be lower. So we come back, we're going to hear from Frank Hancock, and he's going to tell you how to get that garden ready. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights.
Okay, today we're going to get ready to plant our tomatoes. There's a little bit of planning that needs to go into your tomatoes. You don't just go to the store and buy some plants and bring them home and stick them in the ground. You have to think about what you're doing a little bit. So in this particular garden spot right here, we've prepared it. We tilled it up. We've built this bed up last year, and so this year we just tilled it, got it cleaned up. We put down some weed barrier cloth on either side of our row of tomatoes here. Susan's talking about strawberries, so forgive me, but this is tomatoes we're talking about planting. And so that's going to control the weeds on either side. as we come down this bed planting our tomatoes, if you look down this row, these nails represent where the tomato plants are going to go, and we space them out based on our tomato cages and how this all fits together. And you know, in the past we've put a little cover over the top of them to keep hard driving rain from damaging them and that sort of thing, and it will do the same thing here. So it's all laid out. The soil test said we didn't need any lime, so we've already put our fertilizer down to plant them with down the row, and we put in our irrigation system. We're using drip irrigation here with little bubbler heads on the end of these hoses. That concentrates the water to our plant. I'm going to turn this on in a minute and let you see, because that's another good thing to do, is to run your irrigation before you plant and make sure that it's putting water out where the tomatoes are going to be. If it's not, you need to adjust that, and don't plant a tomato plant in a dry spot that's on your irrigation line. So some people use soaker hoses, but in this particular case, you use a little bit less water than a soaker hose uses, and it concentrates it directly on your plant. So let me turn this on and let's watch it run here for just a minute. I'm gonna step right over here and turn the valve. And so you'll see that these bubblers down the row here, they will put out the water, and it concentrates it around the plant. So I know when I plant a plant where that nail is, and I put that bubbler next to the plant, that it's going to be watering my plant. They put out a little bit more water than you would think. That's the other thing you need to know, is how much water are you putting in the garden. These put out about a gallon every 15 minutes, so you don't need to water this thing but no more than 30 minutes at the most, but maybe even less than that. And you need to know that, or you'll flood your plant. And plants that have soaked roots, drowned roots, don't function, and so you'll wind up with tomato problems because of your water system. So you need to know how much it puts out, you need to know where it's putting it out, and then get prepared to plant your tomato plant there. These things are easy to move out of the way when you get ready to plant. If I move right over here, you know, they just stick in the ground, so I can put this completely out of the way, and then put it back after I plant my tomatoes. And it makes a nice little spot there where they're going to be planted. Once we plant them, we'll bring out our tomato cages. They're sitting down here on the end of the row. We'll put a tomato cage over them. We'll bring the top over the top of them, and then they'll be ready to sit here and grow. We'll come back and pick tomatoes after that. And also, after we plant the tomatoes, we're going to mulch. The rest of this row is going to be mulched with newspaper. Then we'll come back on top of that with, you can use straw. We've been using pine straw. Some people don't like to use pine straw because when you turn it in, it can lower the pH of your garden. But we just kind of pull this off at the end of the season and don't till too much of it in. And it's showed up this year. Our pH is a little bit above 6.5, so we got kind of a high pH in this area, even though we're using pine straw. So, and the pine straw, it stays dry. I don't have to worry about buying some straw that might have had a few wheat seed in it to grow some weeds, and it keeps the tomatoes off the ground and just works really well. So the other thing that we do in preparation for planting the tomatoes, over here on the other side, I've already planted 2 rows of sunflower seed and a row of grain sorghum. That's going to attract leaf-footed bugs and stink bugs when the season gets going in about 3 weeks from when we planted those, I'll plant another couple of rows, and 3 weeks after that another couple, so that I have sunflowers coming on through my whole tomato growing season here, so that those bugs that like sunflowers better than tomatoes will have plenty to eat without bothering my tomatoes, and I won't have to be out here spraying, trying to get rid of the bugs. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. And so it's time to plant tomatoes, so get out there and get ready. If you plant tomatoes when the soil's too cold, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have root problems, you're going to have stunted growth, you might have some damping off where the stem just kind of rots right around in a circle and kills your plant. So there's all sorts of things that happen when you plant them too early. We want that soil to be up there at 60, 65 degrees at the 4-inch depth before we think about planting tomatoes. We want to wait until after at least the second week in April, so that we're not going to get hit with the frost. And so those are all things that you take into account before you put your tomatoes in the ground. And I think now we're going to go inside. I think Susan is fixing us a strawberry breakfast cake inside. So we're going to get out of the hot sun and go eat some strawberries.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're going to be making a lovely breakfast bake using strawberries. So first, what we want to do though to get everything ready to start it, I've got already 2 cups of plain flour here, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and add the 2 teaspoons of baking soda to it, and also we have a little bit of salt, and it's a little bit different from the regular salt. This is going to be kosher salt, so I'm going to add that to it also. And also, I have already taken out about 1/4 of a cup from this flour, and I'm going to use this flour to mix around with the strawberries that I've already got chopped up, and it's about 2 cups of that. And what I'm trying to do is to keep the strawberries with a little bit of, take the moisture away, so when I add it back to the batter, it will incorporate all through that batter so it won't be sticky into different areas. So what I want to do first is I'm going to just take my little spatula, and I'm just going to take this and just make sure that I don't have the baking soda and the salt all in one little area. So that's all I want to do. I just want to make sure, because we're going to alternate this with some buttermilk. Oops, and I just made a little mess there. So we're going to just make sure that this is mixed up really good, so when it goes back into the batter that we don't have salt in one place and you're tasting salt or you're tasting baking soda also. So that looks good, so we're going to leave that as is. And so the first part, you're going to do that, and the next part is you're going to need a stick of margarine, and this is a light margarine, and you need it room temperature because you're not going to be able to mix it if you don't have it room temperature. So this has been at room temperature. This is also going to be added to it. This is 2 cups of sugar, so I'm going to add this. Now, normally I would kind of cut it, so if you want to cut it, you could do half sugar and half Splenda if you're really trying to cut back on that part of it. And so also I'm going to add 1 lemon, and I'm going to be adding some zest from that lemon. So what I did is I used my little zest tool, and it is a wonderful little tool. If you don't have one, it's real easy to do, and you just scrape on the outside of that lemon, and it'll fall right into your zest, so it's going to give a nice little flavor to this. So this is the juice from 1 lemon and a little bit of the zest from 1 lemon, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to it also. And then I'm going to mix this around, and what you want to do is you're going to mix this for about 3 to 5 minutes, and you want the butter and the sugar incorporated really well, and it's going to look fluffy and a real kind of a white color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And like I said, definitely have that butter at room temperature or it will not mix like you want it. And it's going to just mix very well with the sugar and the lemon, and it smells so good with that lemon too. I love lemon, so I could eat a lemon cake any day of the week. So you just want to keep mixing this until you get a nice fluffy look. like I'm doing right now. So about 3 to 5 minutes until you feel like it's really mixed really good. And this comes into the messy part of it. So once you get that mixed up really well, you're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also you're going to add 1 egg too. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in there. And you know, you just can't bake without some good vanilla in your, whatever you're baking with. And we're going to add also 1 egg. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. Because the next part is going to be our dry ingredients, and then we'll add the dry ingredients and alter our buttermilk. So let me mix this up really well. And make sure you get your edges. And you just want to make sure that you really mix it up really well. And it smells really good. Between the vanilla and the lemon, it really smells really good. Okay. We'll cut this off. And what I'm going to do is get it closer to me. I'm going to move this over to here. And you're also going to need a Pyrex dish, and this is the size I'm going to be using. And also, I have already sprayed a spray to it, and so you can use that or you can use butter, either way, because you don't want your breakfast bake to stick. So you want to make sure that you've got it where it'll come out really good. So the next thing we're going to do is, it tells you in the recipe, a cup of buttermilk. This is light buttermilk. I did go with that. And we're going to alternate the buttermilk and the flour that I have mixed up. So we're going to go back and forth, and this is where the messy part comes to me. So they say go ahead and put a little bit of buttermilk, and that's what I'm going to do. Just a little bit more. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and start my mixer back up, and I'm going to add a little bit of my flour. So you just want to dump a little bit in there to get it started, and you're going to mix it around. So don't wear anything really that you don't want to get flour on, because more than likely you're going to get flour on yourself. So you'll want to mix it around. I'm going to take my spatula eventually and knock some of the sides down, but I'm going to go ahead and get this all mixed up really well. So now we're going to add a little bit more of the buttermilk. And then I'm going to alter with the flour again. And I found out that if you'll take the mixer and kind of work in the center and kind of incorporate the outer part, it tends not to fly the flour all over your kitchen. So if you can do that, that kind of helps. Just going to get it mixed up a little bit more, and I'm going to scrape my sides just a little bit with my beater just to get that flour in there. Okay, and I'm going to add just a little bit more of that buttermilk. And a little bit more flour. And we're almost there. All right. We'll add my rest of my buttermilk and the rest of the flour. And what I'm going to do, once I kind of get it, center of it kind of moist for mixing it, I'm going to take my scrape part of it, and I'm going to scrape a little bit down into it. So let me do that before I keep mixing and get that down to the thing. And I'm going to try my best not to get too much batter on the spatula, because I really need it to show you what you're going to do with your strawberries. Okay, so let's go ahead, try to mix that around, and try to grab it up from the sides. And it smells really good. And you know, if you can always add other fruits too. If you're whatever you have on hand, you can also add other fruits to it besides just strawberries. But strawberries are in season, so that's definitely what I'm going to be using. All right, so that looks good. We've kind of got everything mixed in really nice. So the next thing you're going to be doing is I was asking you to hold about 1/4 of a cup of the flour out. And the reason why, we're going to sprinkle this on the strawberries, and this will keep them from sticking together. I'll try to take my little spatula I used earlier and see if I can't just get it to go all the way to the bottom. So I just want to get some of this around on the strawberries. And you can see they're moist, so they're going to coat really well with the flour. And you're going to end up putting the flour right back into it, so it doesn't matter if you don't have exactly 1/4 of a cup, but about that's what you're going to need for the 2 cups of strawberries that you're going to have chopped up. So it's going to look just like this. So you just have it coated, that's what you're looking for, and then we're going to take this and just put it right back into the batter. And this just helps it so it doesn't stick together, blends better with the batter too. So that's all we're looking for. Let me do a little stacking here. And I am going to see if I can grab a napkin just to dry my hands just a little bit. All right, we're almost there. Very, very simple. And I'm just going to take it and just barely go around it because I don't want to do it too much, but I wanted to show you, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. You're going to take those and you're going to bust your strawberries up. So I don't want you to do that. And it also will make it really red. So I wanted to show you what will happen. So what I want you to do is to use that spatula, because all we're doing is folding those strawberries into the batter, and that's all you want to do. So just fold it in. Don't use your mixer. Fold it in, because it will destroy your lovely strawberries. It will also make it go into pieces, and it'll turn your batter more of a red color too, and we don't want that. We want to keep it as nice of a nice batter look as we can. So that's what you're going to do, is just kind of toss it in, and that's about it. And then you're going to have your dish that's already ready here. So let me see if I can move this over. You'll have your stove at 350. The recipe is going to tell you for 40 minutes, but like I always say, every oven is different. So you might want to check it after about 30 minutes. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put the batter into our greased container. And you'll see this makes a really nice breakfast bake with strawberries. I'm going to make sure that I get it spread out as good as I can. I'm going to switch it out and try to get this around. So what you want to do is you really want to try to push it as far out as you can, because I want my corners to be even with the cake. And a lot of times our cakes are puffed up in the middle and the sides are not as good. So you want to push it out. And so I always try to push out from the center to make it go out toward the sides and the corner. And that's my goal, is to, so it will keep it out that way. So once you have it like this, kind of pushed out, make sure it's even. This is all you have to do before you bake it. You just need to put a little bit of sugar, and that's what the recipe is going to add. It's going to tell you about 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar on top. And I'm going to go even less than that. I'm going to use about 1/2 teaspoon just to give you an idea of how much this will go toward your cake. So if you will, just depends on how you are with your sugar. It's just going to give a little flavor to the breakfast bake on top. So just however much you want to do on there, but on the recipe it is going to tell you about 1 to 2 tablespoons. And I only use 1/2 teaspoon. You can see that went a long way. So what you'll do is you'll take this lovely strawberry breakfast bake. You're going to bake it in your oven, 350, for about 40 minutes until you maybe stick a toothpick in, it comes out clean. It's going to be a nice golden brown on top, and it's going to be ready to eat once it cools down. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank and I are here, and we're going to taste our strawberry breakfast bake. And it's going to be good.
It looks good.
It's going to be good.
Just what I thought I wanted to have.
That's right. And let me tell you why I was making it and was smelling all these lovely smells in it, from the batter to the lemon juice to everything else. Now I'm going to hope this little, I don't like this spatula too well.
I think this has been a pretty good season for strawberries.
It has. It has. It's still warm. I got to give you a little bit more, Frank. You got to have the rest of it.
I need a little more.
You need a little bit more. Ooh, it smells good. I smell the strawberries as soon as I was putting it out.
It's good.
I could still feel that moist of the heat
It's
from
like
it.
strawberries. Looks like strawberries.
Strawberries. Tastes like strawberries. That's good. That is good.
I'm not talking about strawberries today, though. I'm getting ready to plant some tomatoes.
I know. I was talking about my strawberries and how we have all the seeds on the outside of the strawberries, and you're talking about tomatoes and we have all the seeds on the inside of that tomato, but I love both of them. I love a strawberry and I love a tomato anytime. That is good. Very moist.
But either way, you know, you still eat the seeds.
That's right. Both ways we're going to eat the
Outside
seeds.
and inside.
And there's so many and there's no way we can just count them all. That is really good. Check out the website for the recipe. You're going to love it. We'll see you back, Frank and I will, on Garden of Lights.
You know, this has been worth having you pick all those strawberries.
That's right.